Welcome back to York City. As reigning champions, we've got a title to defend. The transfer window was different to how I was expecting it to go. There's one you might be mad at me for. So with transfers, we will start with the outs, of course. First and foremost is a man who didn't feature at all last year, I'm pretty certain. And considering his value at the point of sale was around 50 million, we got his value, basically. There is more to come, potentially. Tell a lie, he did have 3 games last year. But of course, a man who joined us on a free at the very beginning of our journey into the Premier League. Rated quite well when he has played, but now we've outclassed him quite significantly. I say that, I mean, a lot of his stats are 15. He could have done a job still, but I just felt a little bit guilty. Really, that's it. I just felt a little bit guilty having him around and not playing him at all. So he's gone to Aston Villa, where he will actually definitely play. Because, of course, they got promoted over our junior affiliate Barnsley, as we saw last time out. By the way, in case you didn't watch the World Cup stuff that I put up yesterday and the day before, A, watch it. B, I will reiterate a few things just for your benefit in terms of important things that happened during that period that I may forget to include now. This was an interesting one. Sort of a similar situation to Max Ons in the sense that we didn't really play him last year. We brought him in 2 years ago for £27 million. It was a risk then. He never really performed to the standards that we kind of wanted from him. And I offered him out, well, I offered him out initially for a lot more money, then I offered him a little bit less, and then I offered him out for his value, which is 43.5 million, which is a little ridiculous for a player who played 6 times last year. And Tottenham took the bait. He is absolutely going to do better for them than he ever did for us. Because that's the way these things go. This isn't the one you're going to hate me for. That's the third and final outbound transfer of note. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll see that I sat here for half an hour deciding whether or not to accept or decline this offer. Here's a goalkeeper that is consistent, but now he's no longer at our club. We actually see the con permanently in his box of doesn't like big games. It was only ever there when we actually sort of asked Kasper Schmeichel or any of our other high-judging coaches. Clearly our scouts are better than whoever gives me the normal report of my squad on this page, but he's a player who's maxed out, and yes, he's just very good in all areas, really. The eccentricity of 10 was slapped down the middle. The tendency to punch was slapped down the middle. His rushing out was quite good for sweeping purposes. And yeah, he was very good. And yes, he had English second nationality from being in our nation for so long, which meant I had a dilemma. Because I thought about this for so long. The half an hour I didn't just spend actually just sat there going accept or decline. I spent that half an hour working out who I'd bring in to replace him. I thought about Paulo Cesar at Man United, but I just couldn't get a value on him that they would accept, to be honest. I just couldn't get a value anywhere near what we sold him for. We sold him for 59 million, by the way. It confused me because on the day of acceptance of this, it said they were going to put £62 million into my transfer budget from a sale which was up front, 55 million. 55 million was, by the way, was what the club rated his value at. Because I changed it over the years, and then the club went, look, you're valuing him too low. He's worth 55. So okay then. And that's what I countered Barcelona with a couple of times, and then eventually they just said yes, plus whatever they had extra, which was about 4 million. It can rise to 66, and I think he's actually their first choice goalkeeper. A couple of years ago, I argued that he probably wasn't necessarily an elite goalkeeper, and when you compare him to players like Paulo Cesar, like Manchester United's goalkeeper, he doesn't sort of stack up against that kind of goalkeeper, despite what it looks like here. Like, Paulo Cesar is a good, solid star better. We've not brought him in. And I know I could have got him a new contract, but part of the reason why I let him go was because in the top line of the sale was it said he's looking forward to join Barcelona so he can financially support his family better. And that just stabbed me in the heart, really. So thank you for your services, Sergio. Thank you so much for your 7 years here. But if we're trying to get that Champions League, a goalkeeper who doesn't enjoy big matches is a goalkeeper we can't necessarily trust. I'll get to my goalkeeper replacement eventually, but I'm going to do these in order of value. The free transfer that I teased throughout the end of last season about who was going to replace Ryan Nyambe. As a released player from Real Madrid, Ali Simpara comes in. 13 tackling, 13 marking. Heading's not great. Crossing's okay. Functional, basically. He's same kind of it. Xiao Nan, I don't understand what's happened with Xiao on the star rating. He's still significantly better than Simpara, but only half a star according to the ratings. I don't know how this works. But he's a good player for this kind of level. He's a solid backup. I think he's agreed to a squad player. Yes, he has. It's behind my face. You can't see it. And for 40 grand a week, acceptable. At this level, now we're champions. Obviously, people are asking me for more money. 40 grand a week for a backup, he's fine with that. Obviously, this was agreed before we became champions, so all good on that part. Oh, as I just go up through the values, by the way, Terry Nodder did come in. I can't remember if I confirmed that towards the end of last year. Again, signed him for his name. He joins Bob English in the other under-18s. Although, actually, Bob English might be 18 now, and I think he might have actually gone on loan, so he's not joining him at all. But Terry Nodder, the defender in. Terry Nodder, the mercenary defender. I don't know why, I just love that combination. The mercenary is not a thing to be having, but I just love that combination of things. Terry Nodder, central defender, does what his name says, hopefully. His heading's only 8. He might actually just become a good squad player as well. He's only 16. Now, I don't normally do this, but as I sort of said in the World Cup episodes, I did start to bring in players who were young and had release clauses, essentially. And Nestor Maluso was one of those. You've got Xiaonan, he's fantastic. Obviously, he's 25. He's not really going anywhere. Simpara, same kind of age as well, but he is very much a backup player in that role. And if he wants to leave to get more game time elsewhere, then he probably will do at some point. Nestor Maluso is the player that's going to sort of step into that role. Like, he's not as good as either of them. He was born in 2011, which depresses me incredibly. But he's coming from Newell's. I've gone out to those same kind of clubs in Argentina, Brazil, and what have you. Triggered a bunch of release clauses, got them in. Most of them are 18 years old. They'll be with me for 3 years. I'll homegrown club them as part of the process. He's not going to feature in this first year. He's not registered because they're foreign, obviously. But he might become a prospect if I'm in the save for a few more years, perhaps. He was 5 million, by the way, 5.25 million, part of the 525 club. Just seems to be a thing in Argentina. 5.25 million release clauses across the board. I think we've had 3 other players on that. I think it might have been Cantoro, Vidal, players like that were all 5 million from Argentinian release clauses. Washington comes in from Brazil. Don't know who CTB is. I do apologise. But similar thing. He's got 16 tackling. Other ones aren't bad for 18. Teamwork's good. Decisions are good. Determination's on the better side. Concentration is very good for a defender. I do like that. Concentration is often a weak point. Speed is his issue at this stage, but again, 18 comes into my under 18s. He's happy being there. Wasn't upset. None of these guys were upset when they weren't registered, by the way, so that's good news. Technically, I've got to the end of August if I wanted them register them in case there's any more outgoings. That frees up any spots. But for the time being, he is 7th choice centre-back, and it will stay as such. No other defensive incomers, and Courage is still here. Courage was wanted by Liverpool and Real Madrid. Neither of them are coming in with a bid yet, and obviously our transfer window's over, so Liverpool's gone. Real Madrid might be the one who... He does have a £104 million release clause. I would take it. Whether I would take it now, I don't know, because Scott Parkinson has not come in either. Have managed to unsettle him, but that's as far as it's gone. He's not handed in a request. They want like £150 million for him. Frank Lampard's still in a job. Winning the FA Cup saved him, I think. But yeah, if I can get Scott Parkinson off them, that'd be great. They've signed a brilliant goalkeeper and Helio. That was one of the things I needed to get you updated on if you hadn't seen the World Cup. Yeah, Chelsea are 4th again this year. They are 3rd in the predictions. We're still 4th. Well, no, we're now 4th. Still 5-1. But yeah, they've signed Helio and a very good goalkeeper from Roma. Roma had 2 brilliant goalkeepers. Neither of them fit the bill because obviously neither of them were non-foreign English citizens, essentially. So yeah, I've managed to get one who was an English citizen. But either of those Roma goalkeepers would have been very good for any of these clubs at the top of the goal. I don't know how they had 2 of them. Thiago Fitter, again, just another one. 8.5 million release clause. Banfield in Argentina. Banfield in Argentina released him. Well, not released him. Had him as a release clause. 18 finishing, 18 first touch. Composure's not brilliant. Off the ball and technique, all very good. Anticipation, lots of good things about him. He's 19. He's gone out on loan straight away. Because, yeah, you can see the right side. There's more strikers. I'm now going to spoil you with the best free transfer in the history of free transfers. He's 19. He's had 2 caps for France already and 1 goal. He has been at Saint-Etienne for the rest of his career before this. He's 19, he's made 103 appearances for them, scored 36 goals, and he looks like this. Finishing's 14, that's his only, and I can't believe I'm saying this, negative point. Concentration's 10, I suppose, but in terms of the actual advanced forward highlighted stats, finishing a 14 is the only one that I'm not super pleased by. Has curls ball as a player trait? May obviously train him on rounds the keeper. 14 is good enough, let's be honest. 14 with 16 composure and 17 first touch and off the ball technique. All that jazz. It's all there. Speed's there as well. But he was a free transfer. He's on 80 grand a week. And he's the best free transfer. He was in the top 3 transfers for the league, which sort of, yeah, contextualises that one. He's not even our best striker, though. You've seen the name on the right side. £10 million captured Gabriel Godoy. His scout report came back saying asking price should be around 10.5 million. That offended my love for round numbers, so I offered them 10 million flat, and they accepted it, which is absolutely absurd. Oh, by the way, Carpentier, free transfer, immediately worth 63 million. Godoy's worth 36.5 somehow, just by being better. Yeah, technique slightly worse, concentration's better though. Anticipation slightly worse, off the ball, great. Finishing, 18. Essentially swapped the finishing and first touch though. They're all very similar, but he's 20. He scored 49 and 84 for Velez. Do the same here, please. Silva's 22 and 71 seems terrible in comparison. he's still very good too. We have 3 ridiculous strikers this year. Gonzalez gone out on loan. Brewster's gone out on loan. Other ones you've not really even seen have gone out on loan. I tend to sign players in case they get good and then just don't talk about them if they don't. Saves me time, I say, with this recording already getting on a bit. Charles Baxter. If you watch my World Cup, you'll recognise the name. He had a release clause at West Ham, who only signed him in January. He's made 19 appearances for them, and then I immediately triggered that release clause because he is, well, he's fractionally better than Dutra, basically, in everything except his physicals. Also, key point, doesn't hate big matches. I had a decision to make. I either had to go big and buy someone like Paulo César for Manchester United, or get someone like Charles Baxter, who is weirdly disappointingly England's number 1, considering, has a smidge still to grow into, perhaps. And of course, he's the England goalkeeper, so I know him well. I've played him a lot now. And if he's under my eye, then I have a better, obviously, understanding on how he's getting on as a player as well. That's part of the reason why I did this. The other reason why I've done this is Christian's potential ability is actually potentially 5-star. I didn't want to bring in a much better goalkeeper and just let Christian stagnate. I wanted a goalkeeper who will maybe just be first choice for a little bit, and then Christian will overtake, and then I'm happy to let him go on to somewhere else, be first choice at sort of a mid-tier, sort of an Everton, like Jordan Pickford is currently, basically. He's sort of about that level. He's described as a world-class goalkeeper, but he's about the same level as Dutra. So he's a good player for Premier League. He's not an elite goalkeeper, in my opinion. He's not a Champions League theoretically winning goalkeeper. Might be, depending on how we do this year. But yeah, I haven't given them faces yet. We'll work on that. Right. I'll be honest, this one was just opportunistic. I've not bought him. He was transfer listed by Tottenham. I don't know why. They've not brought in anyone better than him. They've not brought in anyone. They have brought in a player who plays attacking midfielder centre, but they've not brought in anyone better than Laidlaw. So I really don't understand his transfer listing. Realistically, though, he's been brought in to play rotation with Vidal, give Vidal a bit of a challenge, because Vidalson has stepped in there, but he's not a natural attacking midfielder, even though he is, on the comparison list, the best one. Obviously, Vidalson and Seri are actually my starting 2 midfielders this year. So I wanted someone, if we're going to be challenged for Champions League, we need absolute quality players in every position. First choice and second choice. We are paying the entirety of his wages and an extra fee. This is why I'm okay with that. Still have 68 million in the transfer budget in January if we want it. There's still a gap in the wage bill, even when a player joins in January. Again, just another young player release clause. But yeah, we got 200 million. I could probably ask for more transfer budget, and they'd probably say yes. But £165,000 a week is a lot. We can afford it, though. We're still only 9th in the wage list. And at the same time, we're weakening one of our best rivals in the form of Tottenham, who, of course, 3rd last year, won the Premier League the year before with this player in their first 11. I don't understand it, but I will capitalise on it. It's £7.5 million for the course of the year. If 7.5 million gets us the points that we need to be ahead of Tottenham, worth every penny. And in terms of important people, that's it. It's taken a while. I do apologise. We will still play Newcastle. It's not even today. Oh, weirdly, by the way, Victor Vidal is the only person to get a new contract. People have come to me, but as soon as I've responded to the request, they've backed off. So yeah, Victor Vidal's the only one with the new contract. I think is £100,000 a week. Yes, it is. Chelsea, for absolutely no reason at all, by the way, also bought Brighton's goalkeeper. They brought a world-class goalkeeper in, and then him. As far as I'm aware, they still have Kepa. But Farina, yeah, that's the kind of goalkeeper I actually want. But he has no English nationality, so I couldn't register him. That being said, of course, Christian could always develop into something like that. You never know. It would be nice if he did. Oh, thank you for the reminder. I think this is probably the last thing that I'm going to reiterate from the World Cup stuff. The board have suddenly decided to actually try for things. After years of being happy to settle with, maybe just, get into Europe, just in the Europa League, that's fine, maybe. Mid-table, that'll do us. Like, they've always seemed to be 1 or 2 steps behind my objectives. Semi-final of the Champions League, qualify for the Champions League. Yeah, they've caught up. Final of the FA Cup again. Although, in fairness, we've done 2 out of 2, so that one is less surprising. Marcel wants to leave. I've finally decided to let him because he's just not getting a testimonial. Don't know why. Maybe it's just because he hasn't actually played a ridiculous amount of games. Oh, in terms of homegrown, by the way, I've mentioned it a couple of times during last year, Silva and Rick are now both homegrown club for this year. End of this season, Teko does, Kovalev does. Of course, the left-back prospect, oh good God. He has got much better than I realised. This is what happens when you don't pay attention to players for a little while. According to his star rating, he's on par with the right-back we just brought in for free. And I'm inclined to agree with that. 17 tackling, 14 passing. Oh wow, we might have a problem at left back this year. Thankfully, he doesn't need to be registered for the Premier League though. Should we need him? We could be in a position where we can just freely ship off Castillo somewhere. in January and not really worry about it. Oh, that's the season preview, by the way, just to get that up to date. Godoy is one of the best two strikers. Surrey's joined that. Saxton, Azata and Coleridge are now in this line. This changes so often, it's confusing. Pep's now at Liverpool, by the way. Zidane's now at Man City. This person's now at Tottenham. Yeah, I remember him being at Southampton. Not gonna lie. This is his biggest job. Not quite sure he should be going to a club in the top 4 of England. Just yet, anyway. Other brief things to note is Battams and Barwick have remained here. Obviously, our window's closed. I think it's not closed for lower leagues yet, but Battams is an option we can also bring in attacking midfield, even though we just brought in Laidlaw. Barwick, also same thing, midfield. He's on the same level now as Max Hunt was, which is why I was happy to let him go. But we're going to line up against Newcastle like this. Baxter will be in goal, of course. Castillo and Coleridge and Rick will be in the back line with Shaw, Vidarson and Surrey, Ramirez, Vidal and Pulisic and Godoy. The reason for Azata is, of course, if you watch the World Cup, both us and Italy got to the third place playoff. So I let Coleridge stay out of the Community Shield, which we won, by the way. That's the important one to have got Chelsea, not the FA Cup. Win when it matters. Although it is the first Community Shield, I suppose, so I'll take it. Yeah, so I let Coleridge step out of that one. I'm letting Azata step out of this one. It's Newcastle. We should be okay, in theory. And the same reason is why Grimes is technically third choice now anyway, in my opinion. Castillo and Saxton are fairly similar levels as well. But yeah, so I'm just letting the other two English lads have enough of a rest so they don't get too jaded. Early season. Obviously, I've just shoved Baxter in goal, but fine. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be keeping Barwick and Battams around the squad this year, particularly for sort of things like the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, early rounds. Maybe even against the proper weak sides in this division, in theory. West Ham have come up and they're predicted 60-1, so they're not actually that bad. I wouldn't be surprised if Shao Nan gets a testimonial before too long. I think he turns 26 this year, so he's been with us 8 years already. I'm not sure what the trigger is exactly. I'm still in 3D. We'll let this highlight play out in 3D just because it's too weird. Just to switch it halfway through. It's a great tackle, but Football Manager 2020 means they don't get the possession. Vidal heads over. There we are, there's a highlight in 3D for those people who do prefer it. 2D now, back to all the other people. Considering how long I've talked about transfers and what have you, the fact there's no real highlights other than that one we just saw in this match is probably helpful. Newcastle, by the way, crucially have kept hold of Eddie Nketiah, who, of course, joint top goal scorer last year, somehow. Coleridge heads over now. It's 0-0 at half-time. And maybe we do need the goal-scoring talent of Emery Azata, the central defender. I never tire of that. A couple of front people on 6.4s. Oh, Ramirez can speak English now as well. That was something he couldn't do the entirety of last year. That's gone very far back. I'm not fond of this. Jonathan Panzo comes forward now. Macula. I'm going to pronounce him Macula, as if he's some kind of cousin to Dracula, even though it's probably Macula. Godoy scored. First goal of the season for Gabriel Godoy. Didn't really put in a great performance in the Community Shield, to be honest. Was slightly worried by it, but of course he doesn't necessarily speak English now yet either. But Godoy, that's the kind of lethal finishing we need in this squad. The Normand was sort of on my radar as well, goalkeeper-wise. He's not too bad. Like, he's quite good too. 25, has the ability to grow, I think, as well. Pretty well-rounded, sort of a similar, just slightly less, I'd argue, than Baxter. He's sort of an option that would have maybe brought in to be second to Christian. We're still attacking. It's 72 minutes. We'll just ease off a smidge. Castillo's on the ball. Vidarson, Ramirez. Although they are playing cautiously, despite being 1-0 down. Guess they're trying to catch us on the counter as we continue to attack and attack and attack and attack and attack. Varnier, back again. They are playing this around quite nicely at the back, but we are pressing them high. Zamorano, they managed to get it clear out to their number 9, who is their left winger. Interesting choice. It's a red card review for Zamorano. It's because he's on a yellow already, I suppose. Or maybe he just got yellowed. Don't know. Okay, so two things about Zamorano there. A, he came on in the 40th minute for the injured Christopher Shani. Of course, we've seen before. We had him alone in the Championship. He has developed quite nicely, although not quite as elite as I thought he might have been. And B, Zamorano's number 9 playing on the left wing for Newcastle. As a Newcastle fan, the fact that number 9 is not a striker hurts. Anyway, Ramirez has been, again. Castillo is same as well, so we'll just change that entire left-hand side up and fire them off again. 1-0. A lot of our players, of course, been in the World Cup, along with a actually reasonable amount of friendlies this year. I have actually remembered to do them. Played some decent sides in there. Played some sort of Champions League level-ish sides. Not necessarily the elite sides, but some Champions League. Dortmund probably the best of the lot. Can't really remember how they went, actually, now. We played Dortmund, we played Leipzig, I think. Monaco was quite early on while the World Cup was still going on. Oh my God, Vidal. You bring in a loan option for that position, and suddenly Vidal's like, I'm staying here. Please let me stay. Good God. This is a... Whew, it's opportunistic as well. It's brilliant and it's opportunistic. He just sees the goalkeeper slightly out of line and just smashes it beyond him. No chance for the goalkeeper. 5 minutes to go or so. Gonna make the third change. Whilst Vidarsson is the most tired, Seri went to the... Oh god, I forgot about that. Seri went to the final of the World Cup and won it. Spoilers if you haven't seen it yet. I should have been protecting Seri. I've just remembered he actually went even further. Well, they played the same number of games, I suppose. He went even further. On comes Grimes. He's still coming on. He's still coming. James, hurry up. There we are. Vidarsson can take this now. I imagine Seri was actually stood over it before I just took him off. I'm glad I took him off. It's 3-0. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Because Seri is obviously number one free kick taker. Take him off during a free kick highlight, and then the second choice free kick taker steps up and bangs it in. That's brilliant. Wow. 3-0. Ended up a lot more reflective of the game. Like 1-0 was looking a bit weirdly, annoyingly tight, but 3-0 probably more correct. Godoy, first league appearance for us, first career goal. It's his 50th career goal though in total, but first career goal for us. He's 20 and he scored 50 goals already. Wow. Hang on. Sorry. Shalin had a 60% cross completion ratio. I think I've broken the game. I genuinely don't think I've ever seen a cross completion ratio above about 20%. What I love though is highlighted how fast Seri ran. Oh, I feel so bad not playing after him going so far in the World Cup. 3-0 takes a second alongside Southampton, who also won 3-0. So, of course, once I know the Champions League group stage, depending on who the first opponent is, I might bring you that. Man City does appear quite early on. However, otherwise, I don't really know where I'm going to bring you back straight away. Obviously, the Premier League, we've already won it. We're trying to defend it. So I will read you quite nicely. Norwich away is quite tricky, typically. Southampton, of course, quite good team as well these days. Liverpool as well. So depending on who entices me in the Champions League, we'll be playing one of these in the next episode, along with the appropriate match alongside it. Until then, ta-ra.